All right, so we already got some callers here live and waiting. Let's go on ahead and bring in caller from the 214 area code. Get us started off right. What's on your mind?
Hi, Kiki. It's Christy.
Hey, Christy.
How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Good. I was not prepared to be the first caller.
Well, you know what? If you want, I'll place you on hold and come right back to you. It's up to you.
No, that's okay. Actually, the subject I was questioning about was tonight I got an alert that Flynn is going to get immunity to be interviewed about Russia.
I just saw that.
I can't figure out why they're so stuck on Russia. I just, because they keep saying they interfered. How? Tell me what they did. But they just said they interfered. I'm like, I wasn't thinking about Russia when I went into the voting booth.
Right. Not only were we not thinking about Russia, but their whole basis they're basing this on is that Russia has something to do with WikiLeaks, and that even WikiLeaks was on your mind in the voting booth. How much did what you've heard in WikiLeaks, how much of that played in your decision to vote for Donald Trump?
Well, my whole thing is that they never came out and said WikiLeaks lied. They just have an issue that it came out. So if it's not a lie, what are you arguing with me? Right. I don't get that.
Well, we see how they treat whistleblowers in this country anytime somebody is telling on the government, but then they will peruse the streets of the inner cities every day looking for people to snitch and give them immunity and all that kind of stuff in order to get the information they want. But then on this side, they want to tell us, well, we don't like how you heard the information, therefore we want you to not accept that information as true or not base your. It's just like when you're in a courtroom or you're in a jury or something and somebody says something and then the lawyer says, I object, and the judge goes, okay, well, strike that, y'all. You didn't hear none of that. You didn't hear that. It's like, no, I heard it. There ain't no such thing as don't hear that no more.
So they are coming at Trump at all sides. I don't know how he's doing it. I just don't know how he's doing it because, I mean, from Russia to ketchup on steaks. I mean, it's just everything that they can throw at him. And I'm like, is this man going to make it to the end of his term with all this stress?
I believe he was born for this, and I believe that, I mean, this is somebody who has lived a long, full life, who can afford to not be. He don't even have to be president if he doesn't want to. He ain't even want no more money. Don't give me no more money because then I got to pay more taxes. Don't even pay me, okay? And I just believe he was made for this. I don't believe it's going to be like this the whole 4 years because they just, the left is just not, they don't have the discipline. To be honest, I don't think they have the discipline. I feel like by August they're going to run out of steam. I really do, especially since all they have is this Russian thing. I would love if everybody would just come on with it. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, what does Russia have to do with anything anyway? And what difference does it make if these people even met with somebody who was Russian? What does that have to do with the fact that the Democratic Party stole the election from Bernie Sanders, paying off people in the media to report what they want them to report and to attack Trump and that kind of stuff like that. You pay protesters to go in and start fist fights at his rallies. Then you have the media come out and tell everybody that the Trump rallies are racist and they're violent, so people didn't want to go support him, which we see that didn't even really work, you know. So we have the proof. All WikiLeaks did was substantiate the things that we already believed to be true about those people.
Correct. I just pray for him every night because I'm like, how much? Because like you said, he doesn't need the money. He can go run his own company. He can just be like, you know what? I told my boyfriend today, I said if they would do 2 changes, you would see such a radical change in our country that you wouldn't believe it. First of all, put term limits on these people.
Mm-hmm.
Stop this anchor baby mess. I'm like, you would not believe how much our country would change with just those 2 things.
Term limits and no more anchor babies.
Yes.
Oh, well, now, I agree with you wholeheartedly. and these people act like they're upset that there's a term limit on the presidency. I love to see young people, especially young black women in the media now doing their correspondent thing, even if they're for the Democrats. But I don't understand why people like Angela Rye, their answer to everything is, but Obama. Well, Obama got an opportunity to do everything Obama wanted to do because he was president for 8 years. Why do people talk about Obama like he wasn't elected or like he was stopped from being president? He did all it is that he is ever going to do. As far as president, that ship has sailed. So the answer and the rebuttal for everything that you don't like coming from Trump needs to be about policy and not well and but Obama. I'm tired of hearing about the well but Obama. Okay, Obama done. Bye, Obama. Bye. And what was
we had to feel well but Bush for 8 years.
Right.
So they're just going to keep the trend going.
I guess. But what's even more unfortunate, too, is a lot of people who are not Republicans and not Democrats, who were very critical of George Bush, and a lot of those people who are just been critical of government and just kind of not trusting of this whole process, a lot of those people have supported Donald Trump, and they are being lumped in as conservatives or alt-right or whatever the case it is. Our media and just the populist period is just not listening. They're not listening to what real Americans who get up every day want for this country. We're not celebrities who have $50 million who can send their kids off to school in Paris and escape everything they don't like in the United States like these celebrities do. Real Americans who get up every day, pay taxes, want the best for their kids. Nobody don't care what those people want. They only worried about what these 18-year-olds want who ain't lived and paid no bills yet, or these celebrities. It's just ridiculous. So I feel like those people have no credibility and they have a short attention span, and all we need is a new Beyonce album or something like that. We won't hear from them no more. They'll be all busy doing something else.
I guess with this in this new term, I'm a little more disappointed in black people. Because, okay, you had 8 years of Obama. You can't tell me your life is better. Second of all, you have let illegals, radical Islam, LGBT, LMNOP come in and push you to the back, and you're constantly marching with them. But when it comes to your rights, when it comes to the police profiling you, none of these other groups turn around and stand up for you. And you're just constantly letting yourself be pushed down.
Let's take it a step further. Oh, and let me add to that, take it a step further. There have been so many, everybody's saying who's going to be the new black leader. We've had enough black people to come out and tell you the same thing. The apathy from the black community about issues that actually do pertain to black people, you know what I'm saying? This isn't my first blog talk show or whatever. I have done so much trying to talk to young people or talk to black people about these same issues, and didn't nobody care, okay? So then for them to turn around and be up in arms ready to march in the street because a president who was supposedly racist but ain't said nothing about your black self, you ready to march in the street and go to jail and riot over potential some illegals going home, but can't nobody get you to get up in arms about things that actually do affect you? It's confusing. It really is.
So, yeah, I came in on the end of your conversation, your last one about Pan-Africa, and I'm with you. I'll wave you off at the airport, but I'm not going off.
Why they act like ain't no white people in Africa? They act like white people don't live in Africa. White people live in Africa too, boo. You're going to run into some of the same problems, especially if you want to live in developed Africa and not, in some tribe or some hut somewhere. You don't see some white people. So stop acting like you are running from whatever it is you think you're running from here. You're not going to run from it in Africa, okay? So let's just cut the crap. And then my other thing with that, too, is nobody is stopping y'all. Nobody's stopping anybody from buying a plane ticket to Africa. Who's stopping you? There are plenty of Africans who have even reached out to me since I've been doing YouTube and said, hey, we got a home for you here in Ghana or something like that. Not, thank you, I appreciate it, whatever. But nobody's stopping these people from going to Africa. So they sitting in, New York or whatever part of this country telling everybody else that they need to be worried about, they need to be Pan-African. And then when I ask them, why haven't you gone to Africa, they say, oh, well, Pan-African don't necessarily mean. No, that's exactly what it means. Marcus Garvey built boats. okay? You trying to get in the boats. If you ain't trying to get in the boat, stop talking about Africa.
Or when they say my ancestors built this country, name one of them. Name one of your slave ancestors. You can't name one, and it's just sad to be somewhere and like I work in corporate America, and I see someone that it like radiates from them when they're all this. The white man is against me. He's keeping me down, and it just radiates off you, and that's why you're unable to move on because they sense that.
I appreciate you saying that. Because my main thing is, especially in talking to young people, if I'm going to give you advice, I can only give you advice on what I have done or what I have seen work, right? Or I can maybe direct you to somebody else who I feel like maybe what they're doing is working for them. And so I just don't feel like trying to teach kids, okay, you need to have a Pan-African mindset. You know, you need to study metaphysics. You need to worry about what the hell going on in ancient Egypt and ancient Mesopotamia and all of that. But I'm not going to teach you anything about politics going on here because you don't need that. You don't need to learn the white man's language and science and math and all that kind of stuff, even though it's the same damn math in China, okay? Over here, for whatever reason, it's the white man's math. You don't need to learn it. Well, then what are they going to do? How are they going to be able to provide for themselves? I feel like give them the tools that they need to look for information. They got the internet, so whatever they're curious about, they can get that information. But give these kids some realistic goals or some realistic things that you've actually done to sustain yourself, because that's what people are really looking for. And when they don't find that, this is why we finding them taking the illegal route in the first place. You know, so I just feel like as detrimental as racism is, it's also detrimental for us as black people to try to teach these black kids that it's not important for them to understand how to navigate here in the United States. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Well, thank you. Did you have anything else you want to add before I go to the next part?
No, that's it. I'm just going to stay on and listen.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to place you on mute here. If you want to come back on, just press 1 again, okay?
Okay, thanks. Have a good night.
You too. Give you some applause. Shout out to you for calling and breaking the ice for us here. All right. But, yeah, that's my biggest thing. Why are we always out here trying to teach these kids, you know, a black nationalist mindset and then don't want to teach them about our education system here, whatever it is, however good or bad it is, et cetera. This is the language. This is the reason why, you know, so many people aren't able to understand what's in those bills and what they're talking about on Capitol Hill. Well, you're talking to everybody who at least has a bachelor's degree. So if I sit here and tell you, don't worry about the white man's education, you don't have to go to school, you don't have to learn how to read and write, they're using that just to keep you down. So you spend your time listening to Future and Kodak Black. And then when you turn to Fox News actually, I would say their vocabulary is a little bit even further beyond what you would hear on a CNN or something like that. So a lot of people just simply don't understand what they're talking about on CNN. Why? Because language is a language. English is a language for a reason, and it has different stages, right? You know how you got your 12th grade vocabulary words? Well, guess what? When you do 4 years of a bachelor's studies, you have a whole other vocabulary. And then when you go in to finish a master's program, you got a whole other vocabulary. So now I can understand what they're saying to me on Capitol Hill, even if I'm not interested in being a politician, because he and I are on the same educational level. And I can also understand when this person is just trying to trick me using his words, or what they're saying don't make no damn sense. I can understand when NASA is lying to me and what they're saying doesn't scientifically make no sense because I took calculus. So using these equations that you gave me, I'm fact-checking you. Okay, I don't need to go to factchecker.com. Somebody writing that too. You should be able to fact-check based on understanding and having, it's called a good command of the English language. All right, let's go to area code 352. You're live with Talking Cheap. The floor is yours.
What's up, Kiki?
What's up?
Hello?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot. Just jamming to your Tevin Campbell.
Oh, had to take y'all back one time.
Yeah, man. You can't go wrong with Tevin. But Yeah, like, there's a lot of ground to cover. First of all, Trump is winning left and right, and the whole point of all these charades and shenanigans is to get us to stop looking at his W's, right? But he just keeps winning. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
like I was saying last week, the more he wins, the worse they look. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, Democrats are basically useless. They're useless because Trump's doing their job better than them. You know what I mean? So They're panicking. They're absolutely panicking. I mean, this whole wiretap thing. I mean, it's deductive reasoning. 2 + 2 has to equal 4. These Democrats are trying to say, hey, look, they're questioning the process. Oh, look what he did this, he did that, but they're not questioning the substance. They're not questioning the substance. Like, same thing with the emails. Oh, they hacked the emails, but look what they found. No one wants to investigate what was actually in those emails. They're just crying foul of the fact that they were, the way that they were obtained. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just that whole tangled web thing, like with that whole situation, they're in a rock and a hard spot here because either you cannot obtain that information without someone listening or someone doing something. There's no way you can go in on Flynn unless someone obtained the information. So how is that information obtained? But they don't want to talk about that. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like you can't get the chicken without the egg. You can't do that. You can't produce it.
My question is, what do you think it will take to put this argument to bed? None of us on this side even believe any of this. Nothing's going to do it?
No, because you have to understand, like I said, who you're dealing with. These people are out of touch with reality. They are out of touch with reality. They're in another zone. They're in another realm. They're so blinded by their own narcissism that they can't operate and function in truth or the straight line. It's a mental disorder. They have mental disorders. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who does something stupid like shoots up a restaurant. No, these guys have mental disorders. This is what you're seeing because narcissism breeds mental handicaps. And they're going to hold on to this stuff like a dog with a bone,
Well,
because
not only
logic and what?
I'm sorry. Not only the narcissism, but let's go on ahead and add that there's a whole looming, leering, sex, child trafficking, sex gate piece of scandal you guys got going on. You guys have been, colluding with the media, doing all kind of other strange things that you don't want us to look at. This is behavior of a desperate group of people. This is a behavior of criminals. Oh yeah,
they're absolutely desperate. They're totally desperate, and it's like, their ship is going down, and they're doing whatever they can to keep it afloat. So they're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at them, and they have reporters and they have the media that are doing a lot of the mind scrambling along with them. You see what I'm saying? So you said you're right. If you don't have a foundation of knowledge or information, if you haven't done your own independent research, if you haven't developed critical thinking, then you're just going to operate off pure emotion. And anyone who operates off emotion is not going to do anything logical. It's never going to make sense. It's never.
It doesn't make sense.
And you'll go crazy. Right, and you'll go crazy trying to make sense of it. So ultimately, you should focus on the why. Like, why are they doing this? Like, what's the end game? What's the ultimate goal? Because now that'll decipher their whole behavior pattern. Their end game. Because right now we're burning all our energy, trying to figure out what they're thinking because they're being hypocrites at every corner. They're contradicting themselves at every corner. Like, when it makes them look good, oh, it's perfect. Oh, this guy, they'll praise you. But if it makes them look bad, then you are the devil. You are the devil himself if you make them look bad.
But they're minion. It's like Democrats are no longer just the other part of America with a different ideology with a vote. It has become, they just basically have like a group of minions, of yes men. Just like, I don't know, what they call them in Star Wars, like the stormtroopers or whatever. Like, it's like whoever's in charge of the Democrats tells them to think, they think it. Believe this, believe it. They're not even exercising any rational thought because I would still want to know, let's just talk about something basic. Like, what y'all going to do with Wiener? What you doing with him? Is Wiener somewhere hanging out right now on his laptop with his feet propped up? Is that what he doing? What is Wiener doing? What is Anthony Weiner doing right now? Y'all put Lil Scrap in jail for 10 years for selling some weed. What is he doing right now? Because you keep catching this man. You know he's guilty. Your wife is the top aide to Secretary of State, and you can get away from the law? What kind of example are you guys been setting in this country? The place that call somebody if you see something suspicious on the highway. You call somebody. If you see your husband texting underage girls, this is out of control.
Yeah, they stick their head in the sand immediately. Right. Their head goes in the sand, the light switch goes off, and, you know, hey, they won't even. That's why when you see the press conferences that the Speaker of the House does, like, he'll spend 45 minutes answering the same question, saying, look, I just told you, no, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about that. See, on one hand, when you ask them, hey, who are your sources, they don't want to talk about their sources. Oh, I can't reveal my sources. Then you're going to turn around and ask the ruling party, you're going to ask them to leak. You're asking them to leak stuff. Like, it literally is, like I said, you know, it's just beyond all comprehension. You just sat here and told me you're not going to do this because of this policy, and then when it applies to me, the rules change. You see what I'm saying?
Clear.
So
it's clear the media comes in there every day, already knowing what they want to talk about, what they want to write about, you know, and then they're just fishing for the information gaps to be filled in so they can go and write their article and paint it whatever way they want. And we talked about this in the last episode that we did about journalists being able to be unbiased. And in journalism school, you're taught to be unbiased. So it's not a matter of they don't know how to write an unbiased article. There's actually a formula for that. And then you have editors and other people there who are supposed to take your voice out if you get to, unless you're doing an editorial. You know what I'm saying? So these people know how to write an unbiased article. This is how I know. This is the proof. This is how we know that all of these newspapers and politicians and everything has all been in cahoots the whole time, in a way that the old Vietnam vets and stuff been telling us for the longest. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like in this election, the people who have been trying to tell us what the government was really doing, I feel like they finally got their, what's the word I'm looking for? They finally got their just due. You know that, hey, I'm not crazy when WikiLeaks came out. I feel like it did that for some people, some YouTubers, you know, people who have constantly been telling us these things this whole time. So that's why, you know, I don't care. I'm sorry, I had a caller the other day say, you know, well, they just signed this thing now where, you know, they can legally sell your information. And it's like, hey, leftists, we've been trying to tell you guys this the entire time that this is what they were doing. And this is why we didn't want this particular regime to stay in office, because this is the stuff that they're doing. We know Obama been listening to everybody. We know Bush was doing it.
Well, yeah, because they have these, see, the thing about it is that, like I said, in order to understand anything, you have to get to the root. You have to get to the foundation. You have to go with the origins of it. You know, it's like cancer. You have to get to the origin of it in order for you to be able to root it out. And the origin of this whole thing has to do with the watchers, right? These people watch you. That's why that eyeball is floating on that pyramid. They're called the watchers, right? And what they do is surveillance, knowledge, information, because knowledge is power. So the more information, more knowledge I have, the more power I have over you. You see what I'm saying? So that's why, you know, you can always use that as a baseline to kind of anticipate all their actions and their reactions, because they're going to get your information.
Let me interject for a second, because you said the watchers, which reminded me of something also related to the other topic we're going to get into about the pedophiles that have been arrested. Dr. Phil recently just did an episode with a girl who says that she was basically born into sexual slavery here in the United States. Her parents gave her up to this guy. Dr. Phil said he did all the fact-checking and everything. And she said in her story, though, about how they would lock them up in basements of mansions and cages and stuff, and they would have people to stand there and watch them, and they were called the Watchers. This was just on Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
And
it's called...
Look it up. I'm not gonna play it because it's just too. I'm not gonna play it because it's just too graphic, even for TV. So, but look that up if you want. All you got to do is look up "sex slave" and Dr. Phil, and I'm sure it'll pop right on up. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, because these watchers, they were like nymphomaniacs. I mean, that's all they did. That's all they did, right? They're obsessed with it. You know, it's called I mean, this is a very bizarre expression, but it's called angel sex. It goes. You're gonna have to do a whole new show on that, but it goes way out there, and that's where they get the basis of their ideology. A centaur is like a half human, half horse, or half human, half animal. Well, that's why they're called centaurs, because they have their human side, and then they have their animal side, right? It's just like the Baphomet. The Baphomet is like a goat head with a man body. It has like women breath, right? It's man's animal nature. You have man's animal nature, and then you have his human nature, and their animal nature rules. So they are like animals, and they're always going to behave that way. They're also connected to the serpent. You know how a serpent has a forked tongue?
Right.
Well, serpents have forked tongues because they talk out of both sides of their mouth. Like, that's the reason why you can find no consistency.
Do you mean the forked tongue that is the symbol for NASA? That one? On the NASA logo?
Well, I mean, yeah. Right, because it's called hiding in plain sight. Their symbols are right in front of us, but since we don't know they're there, we just don't recognize them. It's called hiding in plain sight. And the same thing, the symbol for medicine, you got the serpent going up that staff thing.
Right.
Same thing. And that was in Egypt too. DNA, like it's corruption is in their DNA, right?
So
and the thing about it is,
finish your point, but while you're doing that, also make sure to interject how knowing what you know about what the elite are into with their weird selves, okay? What about Trump do you feel that sets him apart and makes him different from them in your knowledge of these occult practices from these elite people? Are there some things that you've seen him do or not do that gives you the inclination that he's not down with them?
Oh, he's not. Well, first of all, he's too consistent. He's too straightforward. You know what I mean? Like, the reason why people don't like him because he tells the truth, but the truth hurts. You know what I'm saying? So, at first I was kind of thought he might have been involved in that party, but he's not because, like, first of all, like I said, he's very consistent. He's an outsider. You know what I mean? And he's putting the people's needs in front of his. See, the thing about the difference between a spiritual leader and a political leader, a political leader will put himself before the people. A spiritual leader will put the people before himself. And you're right, he's a billionaire. He doesn't need to make any more money. So he doesn't need the power. He doesn't need the fame. Most people run for office because they have a hidden agenda. They're pretending like they're for the people, but they're really like rock stars. They're no different than a professional athlete. They're just in the political world. And every professional athlete is pretty much a narcissist. You know what I mean? I mean, like, they're all, like, you may see them on these McDonald's commercials, but they are complete narcissists, totally self-absorbed.
Oh, no.
Because it's all based off of
the new Cam
Right, it's like Egypt.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh,
yeah,
I was just saying, Cam Newton has a new commercial, and he has no problem with beating up little kids in a game of football in this commercial. So, yeah, they're showing you they are narcissists.
Right. I mean, gladiator sports people, like, they have their own jerseys. You wear their symbols. You worship their statues. Like, it's all paganism. It's paganism and idolatry wrapped into political and government stuff. Right? They're literally recreating Rome. They're making Rome again, and Babylon again, and Egypt again. They're just doing the same thing that we're reading about in the Bible. They're just doing it again. So if you understand what's going on in the Bible, you can literally predict every maneuver they make. And these people are a certain group of people within the group. They're not all of them. It's like they're weeds, or like they infiltrate it in the system, and now they're trying to manipulate the system. Because what does the cancer cell do? The cancer cell turns all the other cells into cancer cells. So that's what they're doing. They are replicating themselves. The blueprint, everything from mind control to the media to slavery to debt to globalism, it's all wrapped in that package.
So let me ask you this: for the people who would say this country started off owning slaves, this country started off doing horrendous, horrible, violent things for money. So that's where the big question is too. Well, then how do we say then that those people were infiltrated? Speak something to that. What will be the difference between what the founding fathers were doing?
They were involved in this stuff. That's why you had 13 colonies. 13 it's a Luciferian number. That's the reason why they set up the things the way they did, because they were planting the seeds from the very beginning. Okay, so you found this new land with all this great stuff, and you're going to share it? No. We got to make it. No. You know, it's like you found a gold mine. Are you going to run home and tell everyone in your community where you found the gold mine? No. You know what I'm saying? But you create a situation where they're going to find out anyways, so you got to figure out how to play both sides of the fence. So the founders, you know, they set this up from the beginning, because this stuff, this ideology, this you know, this mentality that they have, it goes back to the beginning of time. You're talking about to the garden. It goes that far back. That's the reason why there's all these missing pages. That's the reason why there's all these missing pages in books in the Bible. Because, you know, it's like they tell you something bizarre and then it just drops off and doesn't talk about it anymore. It's because they, you know, how they had to, how they used to burn books. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that, they hide all the information like that, so that way we can't understand it.
Also, during the Dark Ages, when they were so-called burning books, this was also really their period of time where they started creating new knowledge and information. And this is something, too, that I know it's hard for people to understand. We wanted them to get through their heads. Like, honestly, if you didn't live through it and nobody in your family even has a story to pass down, I don't give a damn what the hell it is, okay? Just take it as being folklore at this point. Don't listen to nobody tell you nothing about what happened thousands of years ago, and you sit there and accept that to be the truth when you know you can't even play telephone within a few people and get the same message across, okay? These people sat down and they created a history for you. You think that Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492? You think that's the only damn fairy tale that got made up? So this is why that's my main argument, too, when we talk about Pan-Africanism and being Pan-Africanism, because there's some people who don't even believe that black people were brought here from Africa, right? But we don't know what happened, and it wasn't even that long ago. And you're going to sit here and let these people tell you about ancient Mesopotamia? How do you know that that is not any more of a fairy tale than Homer and the Odyssey? There are so many stories, even when they get to talking about Greece. You know, there are so many ancient Roman stories that, hell, it gets so damn mixed up by the time they get through, because all the kings are worshiping all the gods that are in the fables. So for all the hell we know, all of it is fake. So you can't make decisions and base your life decisions on what supposedly had happened 1,000 years ago. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you don't know and they don't know. And it's so easy to lie to you, because all they got to do is come tell you, oh, well, we know what happened because we have a tool, and with this tool, we can tell you how old this rock is. To an extent, but a lot of that is mumbo jumbo. They are making this stuff up, okay? Because y'all keep buying it. And this is why we have people, we can't get them to think critically, because all of their anchors are to things that don't make any sense. We no longer rely on our own five senses to tell us what kind of world we live in. And so my main point, I know we talk about these different topics, but the reason that I discuss mental health too is because this stuff is really, really driving some people crazy. People are falling out with their family members. They are having anxiety. They are not feeling as comfortable at work, or are more depressed. People cry when Hillary Clinton lost. People are really emotionally invested in these things because their anchor to reality is based on fables that don't make no sense anyway. So if you could just really try to, I'm almost done, I'm sorry. Just try to rely on what you can physically see. If this is my last point. If you hear about a tragedy on the news, they say a mass situation happened, right? Somebody in your family, within a week, you should talk to, I don't give a damn if it's a cousin that say, girl, you know about what happened in Orlando? Girl, my cousin's hairdresser's mama, especially black people, we got on the damn phone. How is it that we've had all of these crises all back to back, and you don't know nobody whose sister, cousin, hairdresser was there? Until you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, at least stop taking this shit on and want to change your profile picture, because the way these people operate, it may not have happened. And I'm not saying that about any one particular event. I'm just saying that it's not too far-fetched. Y'all got to open your mind up to the fact that there is people making a whole lot of money and investing a whole lot of energy into creating a false reality to control you.
Yeah, they say, ignorance is bliss. I mean, that's essentially what it comes down to. Ignorance is bliss. And, you know, it's a combination of apathy, you know, ignorance. And look, the system that it's in place is working. It's doing its job. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is confuse you, you know, make you feel hopeless, make you feel lost, make you love your enemies more than your friends. It's doing everything that it's supposed to. And the problem is Trump is like a you know, he wasn't in the program. He wasn't in the plan, and it's throwing the whole thing off. You know, so you're getting chaos.
Right.
So
okay,
they haven't expressed.
Go ahead. I want to take another caller because they've been waiting here patiently.
Okay, let me get one more.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, it's basically, it's kind of like this. Out of order create chaos, and out of chaos create order. So they'll find a situation where there's order, and they'll intentionally create chaos so they can come in and save the day.
Right. Exactly.
So that's the way they operate. And like you said, if you don't think for yourself, if you don't have critical thinking skills, you almost have zero chance unless someone intervenes. You know. So, but yeah, go ahead. You know, I'm here to listen. So I'll be you know, hanging out.
Come back to you. You know how we do. All right, but thank you very much for adding perspective as always. Okay, so next we're going to the 917 area code, live on Talk is Cheap. The floor is yours.
Hello?
Hey.
Hi, Kiki. I'm a huge fan.
Hi, what's your name?
Ida. Ida. Hi.
Oh, Ida. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I had a couple of questions or just a statement.
Sure.
My mother is Jewish and white, and my father's black. And Passover is coming up in a couple weeks, and I was thinking about sort of my dad's very conservative Republican. My mom's she was like a hippie in the 60s, very Democrat. And I want to know your opinion on this. I feel like on both sides of my family, there's a slave history. There's the Egyptian Jewish slave history, and then the black slave history. What do you think about time being removed from that time period? Like, the Jewish people are considered very successful, but they also had a slave history. And then are we too close to our slave history for our people to sort of get out of that mindset, if you know what I mean? Like in the Bible, it says the Jews had wandered the desert for 40 years. And do you think, I always had an opinion that 40 years allowed a generation of like what we would consider our kind of problematic generation to die off in the Bible. Like they weren't worthy enough to enter Israel. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
like even God knew, okay, this generation is a little too close to slavery. They need to die off. I'm going to give them 40 years, and so they could be anew.
Well, here's what I would say to that. First of all, let's not go back that far. Because, see, remember what I was telling you before? I just got through saying, if we don't know somebody who knows somebody at this point, please. Now, we have Holocaust survivors that we could talk about. I feel like Holocaust would be a more valid, example, right?
Okay.
Because of the time. Because really, if we go back thousands of years, hell, everybody was a slave somewhere. The Irish people were slaves. You know what I'm saying? And everybody ain't acting the same. So the other element of it, too, is that Jewish people still had other countries besides Germany or even besides America to identify with. And it didn't happen long, whereas with the African slave, or we see I'm using African loosely, okay, the Negro slaves here, that happened for centuries and centuries, and no country from Africa ever came to get us. This is why I don't be want to hear about go back to Africa, because how come nobody didn't come, or because if they did, where's that story? Where's that information? As far as I'm concerned,
that's exactly right.
Please correct me. But none of them will ever, and they still ain't came to get us. They still don't claim us. They don't talk about the time that the white people came and stole us. So
can I tell you a side note? A girl who braids my hair, she's from Cameroon. She thinks the movie Roots, she didn't know it was based on a true story.
Okay.
She's been in this country for about 10 years, and she says there are a lot of Africans from recent Africans who don't even think that was a true story. So
she says that Africans don't believe the Roots story.
Well, no, not that they don't believe it. They think it's a Hollywood fiction. They don't know that it's based like an autobiography. They don't know it was based on a true story.
Well, according to what I have, some information I came across on it, Alex Haley completely plagiarized the entire thing, and a white man wrote it.
Oh, geez. But we're not going to refute that. I mean, it happened, you know, that the fact is that it happened. But another side note, an argument I had with my mother is that, kind of touching on what you said, I said, on my father's side, where were they going to go? Like your ancestors were able to escape Europe from your oppressors and come here. There's no utopia for African Americans to go to. Like, we have no connection. We really don't have a connection to Africa.
Well, on top of having somewhere else to go, they also have given reparations to, this country has given reparations to Jews, even though they were not directly responsible for the Holocaust. And on top of that, Jews were not told, you can't go to this ice cream parlor, put your head down. You can't own the money. You can't own a house. You can't have a job. Your kids can't go to school. They can't have this name. You can't even wear your fucking hair like that, okay? They didn't do that. So,
exactly right.
What the Jewish community was good at, though, is understanding how to leverage other people's money, number one, and two, entertainment, putting together these damn sports and these in these music companies, and they formed an alliance, really, with black people. And this is where you have black entertainers becoming wealthy. That's through their relationship with Jews in this country, right? And maybe they bonded over that history. So, so what is your mom's overall position? Is she saying that is she basically saying black people don't have an excuse for certain things, or is she saying that?
Well, my parents get into fights because she's starting to come around. Like she's from New Jersey, and back in the 60s, she protested the Miss America pageant in Atlantic City. So she's from that hardcore 60s generation. Now she identifies as independent. And I told her, I said, look, I think black people are suffering from a form of like Stockholm syndrome. They identify with their captors, which is the Democratic Party. Can you imagine the Jewish people? Let's say there was a new Nazi party, and the new Nazi party told Jews, oh, you know, come back to Europe. We're pro-Jew. We're going to give you welfare. We're going to give you Section 8. We're going to fight for you. We're going to be on your side and protest in the streets for you. But we're the new Nazi party. Not a single Jewish person would go for that. But the fact that black people keep voting for Democrats that are in every single black community in the country governed by Democrats, and a lot of them are slums. It's like this form of Stockholm syndrome. What do you think? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is that it's not like slavery ended the day that the Emancipation Proclamation happened. Slavery ended. Black people, white people, everybody integrated. Everybody got a job and lived happily ever after. Okay? So there were periods of time where black people actually were Republican, actually. There was periods of time where black people really were more astute in terms of politics. Black men walked out the door every day unless they were working, doing something dirty. They had on a suit, a hat, some clean ass shoes. Even a broke black man or black man had respect. Okay. Matter of fact, if they couldn't afford to take care of you and the kids, they would just get all the way out your face so you can go find you another husband who could. Shit, they'll just do that much for you. Get out the damn way. Okay. Now we live in a world where there is just no decency in our community in a lot of ways, and we can't just blame that on slavery because of things that have happened since slavery. Okay, so even we could just go to the 80s, because the 80s is another benchmarker for when it seemed like, damn, I thought we was getting it together, and then all of a sudden everybody want to be on crack now. That's what we're doing. We're just doing crack. We're doing gangster rap now. And I would listen to Dolores Tucker when she would try to talk to 2 Live Crew and them and Tupac and them and try to explain to them how they were being exploited and how the ghetto was being exploited. And these people were saying, no, man, that ain't what's going on. You know, we just trying to make it. We just trying to get out of here. Okay, but what do these wealthy-ass people, why would they have any interest in the brokest, most least educated, worst behaved out of the entire community? They're not interested
in the Ben Carsons of the world.
Exactly. And so this is why now that we have the internet and people are able to select who they like, you notice now that Drake and Chance the Rapper and Kendrick Lamar are the ones who are rising to the top of entertainment when people have the option to pick what they want. So they didn't really never want to hear Laffy Taffy. You forcing people to do that. I'm just saying.
Right. I mean, but do you agree that I mean, you're 100% correct. Like, I don't know, many African Americans know that we're all pretty much descendants of Republicans. I mean, Harriet Tubman was not a Democrat. So I believe that when the party switched for that better New Deal, that's when everything went straight to hell. That's when the welfare replaced the black father. I think if we can go back in time, if our ancestors knew that switching parties was going to be bad for us, they never would have done it. I really believe that.
Well, it was even simpler than that. Anytime you see a smooth talking, nice hair ass president, this is when they're getting ready to fool black people, okay? They came with that smooth talking. John F. Kennedy was handsome. He had a beautiful wife. He was young, okay? And black women was like, well, normally I don't even look at no white boy, but this John Kennedy. They will still tell you, right? Same thing. Here come old smooth talking ass Bill Clinton, and he tall and he could play the saxophone. You know what? Let me hear see what old Bill got to say. That matters.
Right.
It makes a big difference. If Donald Trump was a handsome man with a full, trustworthy head of hair, we wouldn't be having half the problems that we're having right now. Okay, the right needs to get their PR game together. Because all the entertainers and the people who create visuals are, on the left. And so they know, listen, you can't just try any old body out here and think that Americans are going to vote for that. If Hillary Clinton looked like Sarah Palin, she'd probably be the president right now. These people are shallow. We're not dealing with a sophisticated population.
Right. You're exactly right. I feel like the Democratic Party needs us to be stuck on stupid for them to remain in power.
Right.
It doesn't even make sense that they're still in power. I mean, I personally think there's a special place in hell for them next to the Nazis because of everything they've done to minority communities here. And I just cannot get past, I'm just baffled by why we make our vote automatic. I respect the Cuban community in Florida because they're the ultimate swing vote down there. They have they're not on the left or the right. They go with, you got to woo them. And we don't make these politicians woo us anymore. We haven't done it in 80 years, having them woo us. It's just so sad. It's really, really sad. And the black leaders like Maxine Waters, I just can't with her. I can't. She's so rude, and she could not get away with half of the things she said, in my opinion, if she was white.
Listen, Maxine Waters, these women are coming up after a generation of the woman. Let me tell you why Hillary Clinton kissed my ass. She never said Shirley Chisholm. Not one time did she let them name Shirley Chisholm right off her lips, did she? Not one time. Woo, you just say Shirley Chisholm. It just makes you feel like, you know what, I go out here and kick some ass, okay?
Right.
Now, Maxine Waters, a lot of them sisters, they were young coming up after her. And, and black women that made people stop and just, oh, my God, just made everybody listen to what they had to say. And they want that. And it don't matter. Why in the hell would you still be working for anybody at that age? I'm telling you, I'd be out. It's just no good reason. No, make room for the next generation. You know what I'm saying? Make room for the next young person to come behind you. Why are y'all we need some guys around here. We need some of you guys to retire. No offense. You know what I'm saying? But
there was a news article published a year ago that said the average age of a Republican in Congress was 46 or 47, and the average age of a Democrat in Congress was 76. So you tell me which party holds on to power until they die. And in my opinion, Maxine Waters, she lives really nice. She lives in a gorgeous mansion, and the district she's in charge of is a slum. So she's never been for the black community. She's about herself, just like every other. And the black community is filled with these corrupt Democrat leaders.
She is a very good politician, and that ain't saying much. That's all.
Gosh, but you don't think she's a part of the brainwashing that's going on?
Why? The
uh-huh.
thing is that it's more so, my question is more so, why is it that the Republicans are not getting up off their ass to try to find and inject that type of passion and vibrance on their side? There are things that an old black lady can walk up on somebody and be like, baby, you need to lose some weight. You know what? You're too young to be that damn fat. What you gonna do? Old black ladies can say whatever the hell they want to say. So I'm not gonna be mad at the Democrats for throwing their old black lady out there to do their dirty work. Just the same way they
have the razzle dazzle. They do. They have the razzle dazzle, but it doesn't make them right. It really doesn't.
It doesn't. But what I'm saying is that we got to get a strategy on the other side where the Republicans say, hey, these young people that we do have out there, how about we try to create platforms for them to be more vocal? Like, for example, Fox 5, right? On Fox News, they got that Fox 5 or whatever it's called, them 5 old. They not kind of like middle age, you know what I'm saying? They sit around. Put some friggin' like young people up there, and not that weird funny guy from Instagram, the funny fat dude with the braids. Like, no, not that guy. That guy's not that serious. Like, where's the young black woman who is going to debate Angela Rye? Angela Rye be wrong as hell, but how are these white men in their suit and tie about to, what they gonna do? Get up in her face? When she gets to all that neck rolling and throwing her hands up, what they gonna do? Right? Put a young black woman there. Get up, bitch, I can go there with you too. What you want to do? Nothing. You want to sit here and have this conversation, don't you? See, they won't do that. And so that's what I'm saying. No, for real. You have to put people with people their own size. Otherwise, where are we gonna get with this? It doesn't make any sense. That's how I felt about even Tomi Lahren. I knew that was gonna fail because all of her contemporaries don't have nothing in common with her.
Right. Oh, I knew she was not a true conservative a long time ago. This is not, I think she flipped the script right before she went on The View, and just I don't believe that she always felt that way, because there's actually video evidence of her blasting people who get abortion and abortionists. So listen, she's young and beautiful. She wants to be a star, and she wants to be liked.
I'm looking at it from a production standpoint, and I'm just saying, as a producer, you don't put her out there by herself. You give her two other people to feed off of, and they can take heat together, and they'll have a social media following that will shield them and protect them, because these older people are the ones who write letters. Young people don't write nobody no, I'm going to write your sponsor a letter. People don't do that. So you got her out here with an older audience, with no contemporaries and no nothing, and then she ain't even likable like that. So I don't know what y'all want to do. I mean, poor thing. It never stood a chance.
First of all, The View is the alleged show for women, about women, but they're against conservative women. They're against Republicans. They treat, what's her name? I'm blanking. The woman in charge of Trump's campaign. I'm already blanking on her name. Oh my God, I'm blanking on her name already. The woman who was in charge of Trump's campaign.
Who are you talking about, Kellyanne Conway?
Kellyanne? Sorry, yes, Kellyanne. They especially Whoopi. I mean, they treated her so horribly. So horribly. And but when someone like Van Jones gets on there, it's like the red carpet's rolled out. And Kellyanne Conway broke barriers. Like, the first woman to run a successful presidential campaign, the first woman to run in the Republican campaign. And she gets treated like a stepchild. You know what I mean? There's not
Omarosa is built for them. This is why I love her, and they should be trying to duplicate her, and they should be using her to come out and do Kellyanne's damn job. Sorry, boo. Kellyanne is a strategist. Have her doing strategy, and have Omarosa come out here and be your talking head, like you got some sense, right? Why are we doing with this? Do you think that Angela Rye can hold a candle to Omarosa in a debate?
No.
Or lipstick?
Never.
Anything.
Never.
Favorite topic.
I love how she handles herself on The View. I love how she handles herself. And she gets it from all sides, but she is brilliant at defending her views, and just a conservative to a T. And I love her. But she gets treated like a villain. Again, if she was a leftist, she'd be a hero.
That's fine. It's better off her being a villain than just being not relevant at all. But what I would love to see them do is create The View, but for intelligent women. You don't even have to be ultra-conservative. You can have liberals on there, but have both sides of the conversation, or hell, three sides of a conversation sometimes. And then don't put some books like Whoopi Goldberg, who is the agenda pusher, who, if somebody says something she doesn't agree with, she'll literally be like, no,
Yeah.
you're wrong. Like, go put a bra on, lady, because it's too. I can't even eat cereal and watch your old dangling draw. You know what I'm saying? This is inappropriate.
She's so funny. I've seen her defend Mel Gibson when he went on an anti-Semitic rant and called some female cops sugar tits. She defended him to the death. She defended Bill Cosby after 50 women said he raped them. You know what I mean? But she comes down on anyone conservative or on the Republican.
Donald Trump offended her.
And it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
All right, I got another caller I want to take. We have a real good conversation. Look.
Thank you so much, Kiki. It was an honor to speak to you. Thank you.
Oh, it's an honor to speak to you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
To her. All right, I don't want to keep y'all holding here in the queue. I know we was getting all over the place and everything, but I could just talk to her for hours. She know what time it is. All right, 678 area code. You are live on Talk is Cheap. Thank you for your patience.
Hi, Kiki. How are you?
I'm great. Who is this?
Good. I am calling actually to just try to get some more information from you about narcissism.
Oh, okay.
And really, yeah, I know you did a couple of videos on your YouTube. But really, if you could maybe just shed a little bit more light on particularly millennials and I think the way that the Obama campaign targeted, and I guess Hillary to some degree, targeted millennials. And, of course, we know that Obama certainly portrayed himself. I mean, he appeared to be the narcissist in chief. Fraudulent, deceptive, very just egotistical. But can you give us kind of a mini talk, or can you just kind of define and describe for us the characteristics of narcissism in our society today, and how, in a practical way, that we can not only identify narcissism in others, but also in ourselves. And I guess the bigger issue is then in how to relate to these people, not just politically, but how to have how to have peace just in everyday life. If this is the way our culture, particularly in America, this is the way where things are going. I mean, I just saw, I think, an article that there are classes now called adulting classes, and I thought, why didn't I think of that? But they're adulting classes to help, I think, targeting millennials, to help them learn to adult.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, so...
Look, and who the hell's paying for that?
Well, who do you think is paying for?
Mommy and daddy? Okay, well, fail. You get a fail, you get a fail, your mama failed. Everybody go home. Hell. Starve. Work or starve. There you go. That's adulthood. Life. Work or be in the dark and hungry. There you go. Probably in class. End of class. Cut these damn spoiled ass kids off. There you go. You just taught them and you saved some money. See, that's all you got to do. Cut them off.
So you're saying the problem is the parent.
Well, the parent is under the same situation and predicament that everybody else is, right? So we want to have compassion for people because we don't want to turn into them. So the only way to not turn into them is, unfortunately, to feel a little bit sorry for them, right? Because otherwise you just become callous and then you just be like, forget it. The main key way you know a narcissist cannot experience any empathy for somebody else, okay? Oh, wow, somebody got hit by a train. Oh, well, whatever. Or maybe they'll laugh. You know what I'm saying? It could be something, you might have a friend, you call them up, tell them all about, girl, I'm going through this, and you can hear in the background they're doing something else. They're hardly even paying attention to you, and this is every time. They're not interested. They never come back and ask you, how'd you resolve that? But then when they need something, they can drone on all day and night about them and their issues and their problems, But the main key because a lot of people characterize it as somebody who is conceited or full of themselves or wants to be the center of attention. You can want to be the center of attention and be conceited without being a narcissist. The main thing about narcissism is they can't experience empathy. So if you see like children who are developing narcissism will do something, torture the cat, you know what I'm saying, purposely kill the goldfish on purpose for out of entertainment, that kind of like deviant behavior, stealing from people.
Eating dog.
Who eats dogs? Who would do that?
Remember Obama? He ate dogs.
Oh, Jesus.
When he was.
Where did Obama eat the dog at?
This was, I guess, as a kid, dog and some other animal that
this is why
brought up.
I don't believe black people don't eat dogs. Okay, so don't come out here trying to tell us you was born here. I don't believe you because we don't eat dogs here. That's what we don't do. Where was you at where you had dogs? They don't eat dogs in Hawaii.
I think that was when he was with his mother and his stepfather, who she divorced, I guess, eventually. But yeah, when he was practicing Islam, when they were, that period of time. Whatever. We really don't know, do we? But
and then he connected and everybody died. Did you? I'm like, why all of your family members dead? This is so convenient.
Yeah.
Or they can't even speak English and they're in Kenya.
Yes, I'm speaking now, but I hate that. I mean, I digress. But yeah, so eating dog or eating animals and kicking cats and dogs, that kind of thing.
Some people are into torturing animals and doing all kind of little strange things, but it's just basically about having a lack of empathy is the main thing you want to look for. And so when you have a politician or even a doctor or whatever that is lacking empathy, then they will do anything to get money or whatever it is that they need. And if it's causing you to lose your money or your property or your stability or whatever you got going on, they just really don't care. They do not care at all. And, it's like how to deal with them. You can't avoid them you can't completely avoid them. You want to try to keep them out of your inner circle, though. You don't want to marry a narcissist. You want to keep your kids from getting too spoiled because you're stuck with them. You can't divorce them, so you may as well not mess them up. And then the other family members and stuff, though, if you got some extended cousins or something that, like, they're tripping, then you can't deal with them because these people are never stop looking for a supply. They believe they get it, whatever, however they got to get it, that's how they're going to get it.
How do you work for a narcissist? Keith Abloh, who they used to have this psychiatrist, he's actually really good. I think he's out of New York, but he says, that we are raising a generation of deluded narcissists. He called them deluded narcissists because I'm thinking that a narcissist is someone who's already deluded, but he's saying,
not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily in terms of they're more so deluded because they have no anchors to reality. Their history is fraudulent. Everything that they're experiencing, they don't even have real connections with other people. They learn how to respond in life and what to care about from a device. They're not actually having a real experience, right? But you can be a narcissist and still be like, well-rounded and that kind of stuff like that, enough to be able to read people and that kind of stuff like that. These people don't even have the personable skills to even really. A narcissist is supposed to be charming, right? But they're so arrogant in their stupidity that they're not even charming.
Okay.
It's just obnoxious. But
so how do you work with? I mean, is it possible to work under someone like that? I mean, is it possible to keep your sanity and have someone in authority over you who? Is that even possible?
I don't think so. What I would say is that there is no law that says that you can get on my nerves because I work for you. In fact, there are laws against a hostile work environment. So what I do is I give them a soft warning, something like to the effect of, it is against the law for you to get on my nerves. Now, then when they think I'm playing, then depending on what it is, then you can head down to the EEOC or whatever your State Department, sometimes the commissioner or sometimes for the state, they're, what they call it? Whatever the workplace is. I don't know why I'm skipping my mind late.
Right. Well, EOC is a good one. EOC is a good one.
But the EEOC is a good one for discrimination. If you feel that now if you're black, it's very easy to be discriminated against, to feel that way, right? And then if it's more sort of a hostile work environment where they just really making it uncomfortable for you to come into work, then that is more of a safe issue. However, it is still illegal. You know what I'm saying? And there are little buttons that press to make them, understand that this is a form of harassment. You knew you was crazy when you hired.
A hostile work environment is illegal?
Yes, girl, they can't get on your nerves.
Huh. Okay.
Yes, it is. It is illegal for them to make you feel uncomfortable, for them to be, some of these people like to storm around cussing and barking orders and that kind of stuff, or being overly creating an environment that's overly flirtatious or any of that. All of that is illegal. Yeah. You're supposed to come in there and conduct business. It's not supposed to get on my nerves and cause me mental anguish and that kind of stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have to go talk to my therapist about my boss. If I do, then you're incurring losses, okay? You're compensated. Don't let them know. I'm going to do a whole video on that one of these days.
Okay, that's good information. I didn't know that a hostile work environment was illegal. I mean, I thought it would be very difficult to typically prove. I've had some situations where it's not difficult to prove it, but just in general, there's so many work environments in this day and age that are hostile.
Right.
Where people just...
Well, the bottom line is that the state are usually backed up with these types of claims because it happens a lot. But what the EEOC does is once somebody has broken a federal law by discriminating against you because you are black or whatever, or if they are sexually harassing you, or if they're retaliating against you in the workplace for something, say you talked to corporate about something, or for whatever reason you did something they didn't like and you feel like they're retaliating against you, that's breaking federal law. And the EEOC will say, you know what? If we feel like this is something we want to investigate, they will give you the federal right to sue, which means they're overriding all those little things that you signed when you got hired, saying that you will only deal with them in arbitration, right? The federal government can take that right away from them and give you back your right to a trial and a jury, which means, so basically they will serve your company and say, federal government says that we need to look into you because you may have discriminated against this person, and they have the right to go get a lawyer and sue you if we taking too long to come in there and investigate. And so then the employer, who probably never has this happen to them, get to doing little funny, little shady stuff, and they get nervous because the federal government wants to be able to come in and make sure that you're not lying on your taxes. They get to check and see how you treat every single employee. They get to look at information that they would never have access to because the state is who grants you the right to be able to operate the business, not the government. See? So you give the government jurisdiction, and you can use them against these employers to make them act right as long as the employer has over 50 employees. Okay?
Okay. So it's bad for these employers to hire narcissists and put them in charge of people.
Well, the thing is, you have to hold these companies accountable. Everybody is in there doing whatever they can do in order to get paid. The company is creating narcissism because they only, or they reward narcissism because they only promote people who kiss ass and not people who actually come in there to do the work and take pride in what they do, because the company is too busy always trying to do illegal stuff and cut corners, and they know that people who are only worried about their money are people who are going to go along with things that are not good or ethical. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's what's creating a hostile work environment, and what you have to do is you just have to hold them accountable, and it's a lot of stuff that's illegal that you wouldn't even realize was illegal, but just keep in mind that the government and the state really has the incentive to back you up because it allows them to come in and harass a business owner that don't want to be harassed. So my whole thing is, since you want to harass me, then I'm going to call a bigger damn harasser because don't nobody know how to harass your ass like the government. So now everybody getting harassed in here.
Okay.
Shit. Even if you don't walk away with $1 million. Even if you don't walk away with $1 million, you just want them to get harassed. Just harass his ass. Now everybody harassed. Now they'll be so busy trying to figure out how to get government off of their ass, they won't have time to play with you no more.
Thank you. Very good. Very, very good. I appreciate that. Thank you. You know what? We are going to be, your listeners and callers, this is going to be a really healthful year for us if you can keep up with taking our calls, because we don't really have another outlet. I mean, we've had to, I hate to say, suck up so much, particularly over the last 8 to 10 years. And everywhere we go, you know, it's not everything we read, newspaper, media, television, we're having to just take it in. And that's really unhealthy. So I appreciate you. Thanks for giving us an opportunity, a place where like-minded people can think critically and ask questions and just, you know, start to let some of this stuff go and understand a little bit better how to have peace, even in the midst of a lot of chaos. So thanks, Kiki.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling in, and that's the whole point of doing this, because I see I put up a video and people have so many comments, and then sometimes people get in their own, like, conversations between each other, which I think is really cool. So I'm like, let's just really talk about it, because it's hard to get it. Nobody feel like typing a paragraph all the time anyway, you know, to get their point across. So
yes, true. Thank you, Kiki. Good night.
Thank you. All right, so shout out to her. So, I mean, you know, I put my little topics up or whatever, but if you guys ever want to call in and ask me something, even if it seems unrelated or off topic, I don't mind, and I'll do my best to answer you. Sometimes I got to go and look into it and come back. You know, I will do a full video at some point. I'm limited on the examples that I could provide to you, you know, seeing as though when I took my check, I promised I wouldn't tell. Other than that, though, I can let y'all know if you're interested. On what to do in certain different cases of workplace harassment, okay? And business owners, I know some of y'all might be like, because you don't want nobody doing it to you, but you need to also be aware of the fact that it is very easy for somebody to come in and turn your world upside down. And a lot of people get comfortable thinking that they're, you know, I've seen a lot of companies start off as a smaller operation, get over that 50 employee mark and think they can still behave the same way they did when they were more so considered a mom and pop, and you can't do that. Different rules apply when you take on a lot of employees, and you need to know what those rules are so that you can protect yourself. And you hire, a lot of times it's not even the CEO, it's the management that they put in place. Like she was saying, what do I do when they put narcissists in charge? They put these narcissists in charge because this person is kissing their ass and they taking less money than they deserve, and they'll go along with all the unethical things and the last minute demands. But what this also narcissist CEO doesn't understand is, just like you got an agenda, they got one too. So yeah, I'm going to take less and do all of that, but I work in this call center, for example, where there's a lot of young women who are, you know, young, they wearing them see-through leggings and stuff to work, etc. I'm going to flirt with them. I'm going to pinch them on the butt. I'm going to follow them, sit up, eat with them in the break room. I'm going to tell dirty boy jokes, this kind of stuff. Well, while you allowing that to go on, Mr. CEO, because you're too damn busy to come in here and check on your business, what you don't know is the girl minding her business sitting in the corner who ain't even involved in none of that can sue your ass for sexual harassment without somebody even touching her. So y'all need to be paying attention to what's going on and try to foster an environment based on getting results done, have everybody on the same page, and hire people that are coming in there to work and not coming in there to just, you know, feel important and get their jollies off. Because at the end of the day, even if you fire them, you the one got to pay for that. You the one who's going to have it on your record and history and all that kind of stuff that you've been sued and some other stuff. All right. So did we get to everything we want to talk about? Today I'm going to bring 352 back in here. Have you been keeping up with what's going on with the pedophiles? I noticed you haven't particularly mentioned that. Is that a topic that you have been looking into, or do you think most of that is you're not weeding through that?
Regarding the pedophiles, I mean, you know, I think it's a huge concern that they're not spending more time on it. You know what I mean? Like, from what I understand, like they kind of need these kids for their rituals.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Because basically, babies are like angels, right? Because their soul was most recently with the Creator. You know, so that's part of the reason why they're big on abortion as well, because the less babies that are in the world, the less light can come into the world. So, I mean, you see what I'm saying? So they kill the babies. Okay, you have light and darkness, right? And we're supposed to bring the light into the physical world, right? The Father of light set the children of light into the world of darkness to light it up, because light and darkness can't be in the same place at the same time. See? So kids are like angels. That's why you should never hurt a kid, because hurting a kid is no different than hurting an angel. You know, going back to the Jewish people, like they have an expression like hitting a Jewish person is like hitting God. It's like one and the same. The Jews are God's special people, right? But He sent them here to do something, and they refused to do it. They stayed to themselves. So since they stay to themselves, all these problems happen in the world. It's almost like they have the prescription for the illness, but they refuse to share it. So the Gentiles become animals. Now, the problem with this whole thing is these animals are going to eventually direct their attention towards eating them. So since they refuse to bring the world to what you call correction, then the longer they wait to share their knowledge, the worse the world's going to get, until the whole world wants to get them off the planet. See, if you take out the Jewish nation, then God can't come to the world. He can't come into this world. They're directly connected. Like if the earth was a body, Israel would be the heart.
Okay,
right?
Now,
that's where all light supposed to come in.
But with that being said, we know that technically Jewish is not a race, right? It's more so of a religion, right?
Well,
so is it
basic? Go.
Well, my question is that is it possible that there are more people who are Jew or who are the Jews or the chosen or of God, just in terms of just some people have a propensity to evil. Like I've seen some evil ass kids. I've seen evil kids, and I have seen kids be like nice, like how kids are supposed to be. Now, granted, I guess we don't know how much environment always plays a part in that, but even people who like among siblings, that like they'll have that like one weird kid or that one asshole, and they'll be like, we don't even know why he's like that. Is it possible that all Jews don't look alike?
Oh yeah,
or whoever
absolutely,
chose selected the God's church, is it possible they don't look the same?
Yeah, well, that's when you start getting into the lost tribes of Israel. See, there are missing tribes that got scattered, and we very well may be a part of those tribes. You see what I'm saying? So there are black Jewish people. They got scattered, and when they got scattered, some of those tribes got lost, and they're being called home. See, basically what has to happen at the end of this whole thing, all the Jews they're all going back to Israel. They're all retreating back there because they're being called back there, right? Because you have to call the Messiah into the world. We're not supposed to wait for the Messiah. You're supposed to bring him, call him into the world. He's like, we shouldn't wait on God because he's waiting on us. See? So it's about taking action. So, yes, to answer your question, there are Jews that aren't, a lot of them are conscious people who think differently than everyone else. You know what I mean? It's just that, our history has been kind of lost because of all this craziness that has been happening. So what we're doing, like on these phone calls, is because you got to have the group. Just like in Exodus, you have to have the group of people. You have to have the leader, the group, and you have to have the books. Those three things. And like what your last caller was talking about is very true. Like the blacks are pretty much parallel to the Jews, right? They're parallel. Now the question you have to ask yourself is, if the Jews went through the same thing we went through, how come they're not helping us? They should be able to relate to our problem, but they're not. They just stick to themselves, and that's the reason why God got so mad at them, and that's part of the reason why Hitler came into play. Because if they don't do what they're supposed to, then they're going to get it the worst. because the way God works is this. He punishes the one he loves the most. It's kind of weird if you think about it, but that's just how it works.
That's fine.
Well, it's so that way we can't say there's favoritism. We can't say, oh, he likes these people more than us, because like Jesus and everyone else, they get it the worst. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, as far as our situation, what's going on, it's basically like Exodus is replaying itself. You know, it's the same situation, and there's a direct connection to it. And essentially, you know, the circumstances are pretty much exactly the same as the Jewish people. You got injustice, you got imbalance, you have oppression. You know what I'm saying? See, the thing about the Jewish people is they didn't want to leave Egypt. Like, they kept trying to go back. The reason why, and Moses was going crazy about it, like, you know, you were complaining that all this stuff was terrible and you hated Egypt because of slavery, but now I can't get you to leave. It's the same reason why you can't get black people to think, and you can't get them to, you know, act the way they're supposed to, because they're going through the same situation, you know? And then they were complaining the whole way. They were complaining nonstop, and they were just like, look, we're better off in Egypt than the desert. But the thing about the desert is, you know, it's right before you get to the promised land. So what's happening now is we're leaving Egypt, which is the physical world, and we're going into the spiritual world. So the narcissist question you had, the whole thing about narcissism is, I mean, like I think I told you this before, narcissism is self-worship. You turn yourself into an idol, right? And the thing about the narcissist is he's actually there to help develop you. The narcissist is there to help bring out the best in you, you know. And you don't attack the narcissist because
you cannot win.
Right, you can't win. You remember, like, because God said, I will harden Pharaoh's heart, so he won't let him go. So on one hand, he's telling Moses to go get the people. On the other hand, he's saying, you know what, I'm gonna make Pharaoh's heart hard, because a narcissist, like you said, has no empathy.
They don't have any empathy. I think in terms of relationships with family or in intimate relationships and stuff, people sometimes find themselves dealing with narcissists on a more personal level where it's harder to escape, and you don't want to just sit there because they'll abuse you. They will physically abuse you. They'll do. I mean, it gets ignorant, okay, where you can't even just quit. And not even that's an easy option, right? Because people got bills to pay. So they like to get people in a position where they're somewhat dependent on them. Any other time, they can act like they got sense, which is why people around them might not even believe. If you told, you know, other people that knew them what they were doing to you, they might not even believe that, because if that person is of no use to the narcissist, they will not even experience the same person. You know, they want to make sure that they got you good, you know, that they really got you stuck with them first before they really kick it into gear. And so at some point, a human being is going to want to fight back, and you have to be kind of strategic about it because they'll never give up. So the end game has to be to separate from them. That has to be the end game, you know, and you can't so much worry about whether or not their feelings were hurt over it or whether or not they learned their lesson. You have to get out of that situation, and strategically, because like you said, when you try to even be combative with them, it does make them angry, you know. So you want to make sure, you have to gain leverage. Like, leverage is a god of theirs. You know what I'm saying too? They worship leverage. Okay, that's what they're always looking for. They will look for somebody who has leverage over them just so they can take the leverage. To say, hey, look, now I got leverage. You know what I mean? So, like, if an attractive woman were to give some ugly dude a chance, right? Ugly dude is like, well, she has the leverage because she's attractive, so I'm gonna make her fall in love with me. So then I have the leverage, and then I can. That's not enough. They're never satisfied.
No, they're not. I mean, and like I said, it's there's no difference between a narcissist and a wild animal. There's no difference. None.
Right.
So basically, and what they do is they look to control you. They look to see your weakness. They try to find that soft underbelly, and they're going to attack it and exploit it to the end of. Right. Well, I mean, they can't. I mean, like I said, it's like it's a robotic consciousness that they only know how to manipulate people. That's the only thing they know how to do. You know, and ultimately they end up destroying themselves. And like you said, you can either, and that's what the Exodus was. You're leaving the Exodus. The Pharaoh is the ultimate narcissist. You know, like if you look at the stories of Egypt, they have paintings in these, you know, pyramids where you have pharaohs worshiping themselves on a throne. So they have a guy who looks just like them bowing to a bigger guy. So they worship themselves. Like that's how, I mean, they're buried with their gold. You know, they say you can't take it with you. Well, no, the pharaohs were buried with their gold and their servants. Like if you work for the pharaoh, you got buried with them.
Now you talking to somebody. I believe that the Masons wrote everything during the Dark Ages in the first place, and that we don't know what the hell was going on because they conveniently can talk about Egypt and then they act like there's no other countries around there and nobody else is doing anything. This is why I think that what they were really doing was foreshadowing, and this is Egypt for real, the first time. This is why you have all these monuments and everything. That's what they've been trying to create.
Well, yeah, because it's like this. Okay, you have God's kingdom. You have God's kingdom. God sent us into this world to build his kingdom. Pharaoh says, no, I'm going to build my own empire. That's why everybody wants to have their own empire now. You know what I'm saying? Because we become our own gods, and everybody wants their own empire. See, Pharaoh is metaphysical and it's physical, right? So every person has a Pharaoh in them, right? Everyone has a Pharaoh in them, and it decides all your decisions. Like, it's the reason why you eat the food you eat. It's the reason why you hang out with the people you hang out with.
Well,
it's the reason why when
your ego.
Huh?
Your ego.
Right, ego. Right. We all have this ego in us. Now, how you deal with the narcissist? You know, the problem is the solution, and the solution is the problem. You have total control over a narcissist. You know why? Because a narcissist has no self-control. They're impulsive. They have nothing but impulsive behavior. Right? So you literally can control a narcissist like a puppet if you have self-control.
Yeah, but the thing is that the person who the makeup of a perfect supply is not somebody who easily goes into that form of combat. So people who like to play mind games or that are kind of like really pessimistic, people that are untrustworthy of people who don't believe you in the first damn place, those are not the people who they pick as a supply. They pick somebody who is who sees the good in the world and is optimistic. And now, after you spend enough time with this narcissist, it's going to erode a lot of that, you know, the rose-colored glasses in which you see the world through. That's for damn sure. And, I mean, obviously God is using these relationships, too, to help us realize that just because it's coming at you smiling and looking nice don't mean it's telling the damn truth, okay? Because the truth, the lie usually looks real good, you know? But,
yeah, I mean, the devil always comes as your friend. He comes as a buddy.
Right, but
I'm saying
that you are absolutely correct in terms of the mentality of a narcissist, is somebody who is looking for somebody, maybe another narcissist could probably come along and play them games. But usually the people who are asking me about narcissist, it's just like you have all the players on the football field who play a particular position. So you can't come in one day and be like, I don't know, we really can't beat this team. Damn, how about we just switch up? You be the quarterback, I'm be the cornerback. Let's just trade places. Right. It doesn't work like that, you know?
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, I mean, basically, you know, you have to look at narcissists like babies, and, you know, you just deal with them like you deal with a 3-year-old, you know? And if you have discipline, if you are the more mature person, then you'll always have them wrapped around your finger, because you already know how they're going to react to everything. You see what I'm saying? Adam in the garden, huh?
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it through a female lens, because just 90% of the time, if it's not job related, when we talk about narcissism, it's behind some damn boyfriend, you know. And they do think that they are very passive-aggressive a lot of the times during that phase when they're wooing women in. So it's, in an effort to, I'm always about giving you practical advice to where you really are. You know what I'm saying? Not like, oh, yeah, this is what works. Yeah, that's what works. But realistically knowing, like, the type of trauma and stuff that these relationships put on women and men too, but you know what I'm saying, just from this vantage point, like I know maybe it's really like, I don't have the energy for all of that. I just want them to stop. I want an apology. Like, women be looking for stuff that's just not even tangible. I just want you to, like, recognize that you're right. It's like if you're the type of person who wants to punish the narcissist and make them feel the way that you have felt, yeah, you can do that. But if you want them to, like, apologize and change their ways now, then ain't no recipe for that.
Well, I mean, the female's role in a relationship is to correct the male. That's why God made a helper, which was Eve. Like, he didn't make a helper for Eve. He only made a helper for Adam. So the woman's role is to correct the man. So, and help the man become like God. See, ultimately, Adam realized that he was a narcissist after he ate from the tree. He didn't know he was a narcissist before he ate from the tree. So after he... Oh, no, my freaking battery died. So...
All right, his battery died. Okay, caller from the 214 area code. Did you want to get back in and say something? I saw your hand raised. 214?
Nope, I'm just listening.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. So, fun topic. I know where he was going with that in terms of women being the helpmeet, and we'll say that for another conversation. Maybe we'll talk about relationships or something. But we are breeding a society of people who want instant gratification and who makes decisions based on what their peer group is doing. But we're learning that in the education system. That is what is socializing people to not want to be outside of the group and to have to fit in, to the point where the stoners have to fit in with other stoners, man. The gothic people who are like all about being anti-everybody have to hang out in a group of other people who are anti-everybody. The emo people hang out, they're so depressed, they want to be alone, and that's why they hang out with other people who are also depressed and want to be alone. So nobody don't really want to be by themselves. And if you are the kid who raises your hand all the time, you always have the answer, you're really eager to learn, you start your science projects early, you take pride in what you do, well, if you go to a public school, you're going to be ridiculed for that, and the teacher a lot of times is not going to step in and tell them that their behavior is out of line or wrong. They may say stop, but they won't tell them why. They won't tell them that their apathy for information and learning is why they're going to grow up to basically be the fools that these other narcissists out here come and feed off of. Those are the real teachers that we love and appreciate, the ones who gave us the truth about the world. This is why they don't want to pay them that much, and they don't want them to stay that long. Because I don't care how naive you start out. Deal with other people's kids for an extensive amount of time and parents, and with the counseling element of being a teacher that comes along with it, the wisdom that they get about people. I know we all had them teachers that's been teaching 40 years that just sit there and tell you any damn thing. They don't care no more. They cuss in class, them teachers. Those are the instructors that we really love, though, because they told us the truth about the world. So we live in a place now that doesn't want to tell us the truth about the world. They don't even want elderly people or seasoned people or educated people or people who know what they're doing and have experience. That is shunned in our society. And, of course, we're excited about young people doing big things and that kind of stuff like that, but we still can't lose respect for wisdom. That really only comes with age and experience. So we have a generation of young people, so they ain't got no age on them, no experience, young grandparents. You won't even tell them the truth or give them access to information, and then they're expected to know how to deal with the truth when it slaps them across the face. This is the reason why we got these kids outside trying to burn the country down over Donald Trump. I mean, that and $1,500 a week from George Soros. I thought about applying myself. If I didn't have to be at home all day long, all I got to do is hold a sign. If it wasn't for them burning stuff down and trying to be so violent about it, they paying people to hold signs. Anyway, these kids out here frustrated and confused and angry because the media and all these important grown-ups who have all these expensive graphics and Photoshop and everything, man, came out here and told them what was right, how we're supposed to behave, how we're supposed to treat other countries, how we're supposed to take care of everybody. The democratic way is the way. This man, Obama, was president for 8 years. That's a long time. So if you were 10 years old, haven't even been to middle school yet, and Obama's the president through every middle school dance, through every high school dance, now it's time to vote. His ideology formed the way that you think and what's acceptable. You don't know about the time of George Bush and what the politics were during George Bush or Bill Clinton or the other Bush or Carter or any of them. They don't have any other reference or frame point. And this is when they took government class, the president was Barack Obama. So they believe what Obama and the Democrats wanted them to believe, and whether or not the Democrats were right or wrong didn't matter. It was being reinforced by this fake-ass media here that's being paid off to tell these kids what they want to hear. So then it's election time. Everybody got one vote, and the grown-ups took off work and went to that polling place. And the adults around here, and I'm not talking about Katy Perry, who dances with fake lollipops and sharks and you know, in her skivvies in front of thousands of people at the Super Bowl. I'm not talking about Lady Gaga, the girl who wore the damn meat dress. I'm talking about when real grown-ups got up to go vote. They said this man is about his business and the needs of the country, not he's a racist and a sexist and a homophobe and a xenophobe and an arachnophobic. They didn't say that. They said this man wants the best for this country, that I am leaving to my grandkids, and I want the government to get out of my pocket and start spending my money more wisely. The left is out here bitching and moaning about cuts to the EPA, doing things that we didn't even know the damn EPA was doing. These people have been giving money hand over foot to all these different departments, and if you add up all the money we have been giving them, now these cuts they haven't even taken place yet. If we add up all the money that we have been giving to these different damn departments to do God knows whatever the hell it is that they're doing, right? Why is it then that our environment is not already protected? How much money is enough money is always my question. You got all this money for education. These kids are still coming out here stuck on stupid. So how much more do you need? I'll write a check right now, blank check, education. So to get all these kids caught up to speed and graduated, and they have to be graduated unpregnant and not on drugs and not crazy as well. I want them at least able to work a trade or go to college, okay? Prepared for adulting. Add that class too. How much is it going to cost? What is it? $1 billion, couple billion, 10 billion? What is the amount? We'll go to the Federal Reserve right now. There is no amount. These people won't even sit here and look at the way they're teaching these children to find out whether or not it's even effective, because all they're worried about is having another reason to run to daddy, who is the big government, to cut them a damn check. In California, why do the schools in Burbank look, let me tell you, when I was in school, I had a book for home and a book for school, because the parents in the school district I was in said my children will not be getting scoliosis carrying all these heavy-ass books, right? So I never had to bring my books home. I had a book in my locker for my class and a book at home to do my homework with. So I wanted to hang out with my friends, and I went to summer school in Inglewood so I could hang out with my homegirls and look at the boys and all that kind of stuff, right? So I'm sitting in class the first day, and there's this book under my chair. And so I raised my hand, and I was like, is this my book for the class, or is this my book to take home? The teacher burst out in laughter, stopped everybody else from doing what they was doing because they was making drum beats on the table and all that kind of stuff, like really out of a Michelle Pfeiffer movie, okay? And it was like, she want to know if this is her book for home or her book for the class. Everybody starts laughing. He says, we don't have enough books for y'all to share, let alone somebody to be taking one home. Now, we all in the same state here, 30, 40 minutes apart. Now, I'm sure that the parents at Inglewood High School will have you to believe that this is the government's fault. How is it the government's fault? Then on top of that, include all the government programs that we have that's supposed to be catching inner cities and minorities up. So if anybody got the state-of-the-art swimming pool, I'm talking in Burbank, we had a pool, we had the football field, then we had the baseball diamond, then we had a soccer field because we didn't want the soccer players messing up the football field and the baseball diamond. We ate lunch outside. We had picnic tables. It was great. It was fantastic. We had a state-of-the-art performance stage with strobe lights. We had a whole friggin' lighting system, okay? When I went to that damn school in Inglewood, I felt sorry for them. It was so bad. The graffiti. How hard is it for you to come paint over something? The stain, urine in the walls from where some pipe had broke and the urine was coming through the damn pipe and the people didn't go in there and clean it up. I'll never forget that. So why are we continuing to blame it on the government? So just like we said to do about spoiled kids, right? You got a kid, you keep giving them money, giving them money, giving them money, giving them money, giving them money. Whatever it is you get them, they make it enough. If I give you $20 for lunch, you spend a whole damn $20. Did you save some money for lunch from yesterday? No. You need another $20 today? All week, every day you need another $20 for lunch? You ain't saving no money? You got to cut it off. Now, that the cuts are being made, we'll see in the upcoming years what is missing that we had before that we don't have now. I guarantee you it ain't going to be that much change. Some kind of way, they're going to find a way to do what they need to do. But it just takes for the government to cut it off, not come in here and be mammy like what they wanted Hillary to come in here and do with her hot sauce in her bag and write a blank check every single time somebody came and could say, oh, I'm a minority, I need this. Because Hillary, who was going to pay for it? And we still can't get the Democrats to talk about that while they want to keep talking to us about the damn Russians. Because if you won't, we could go on ahead and we can elect Donald Trump again, pull the ballots out. The grown-ups are going to vote for that man again. I don't care if the health care bill gets signed or not. I got 99 reasons. I got 99 reasons why I wanted Donald Trump to be the president, and Russia ain't one. So let's do it again. Who cares? No, we can't do it again because it's against the law, so y'all just want to waste everybody's time. So whatever, going on with that. This is why they're sitting up looking the way they are. We got 13 minutes left. If any of y'all want to get back on the line here, I see my caller from 352. His line dropped. You call back. Call-in number is 619-924-0779, and I'll bring you guys on if you would like. Did you have anything else you wanted to add this evening? I heard your line drop. Hello? Oh, it hung up on him again as soon as I picked it up. Okay, I'm sorry. Look, what are my sound effects? Aww. All right, guys. So, one of my listeners did want me to talk about the pedophilia ring. I was not able to pull up some of the information that she was talking about, so I'll continue to look that up. But there is a story in there where we're trying to figure out why it's not being investigated. That's all we want is a thorough investigation. And the people who are being caught and arrested, etc., as it happens, we want the media to cover it. Okay? Because why is it being swept under the rug and it's only being covered in smaller publications? This is supposed to be front and center when people who are connected to government get caught up and get arrested for something related to pedophilia, right? And then they want to make it illegal for people to talk about it or to share the information when they do find it. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube has been censoring people for just making, blanket statements regarding these issues, for trying to put together, connect information, for basically accusing people who are bringing the information to court, like trying to make it sound like they're the pedophiles because they're the ones who are talking about it. So this is why I urge people to be careful when they cover that subject, because you took a picture that was hanging up in John Podesta's house, or his brother's house. You took one of those pictures of those children on his wall, downloaded it to your computer so you could put it in a YouTube video to tell everybody else that he's a pedophile. Next thing you know, they're trying to say, you the damn pedophile. although at the same breath tell you that the picture isn't damning enough for him to be investigated for being a damn pedophile. So this is how you know they all in on it, and this is just weird. It's really weird behavior. And but when you guys get that kind of information, tag me in it and that kind of stuff so that I can try to keep an eye on it. They're saying that since Trump took office, there's been 1,500 pedophile arrests. Now, I don't know how true that information is, but that's what is being reported. It says the numbers are staggering when compared to the less than 400 sex trafficking-related arrests made in 2014, according to the FBI. Trump addressed how human trafficking is a dire problem domestically and internationally. Dedicated men and women across the federal government have focused on this for some time, as you know. It's been much more focused over the last 4 weeks. That's what Trump said. So, let's see. Major arrests. January 27th, authorities arrested 42 in human trafficking operation in Tennessee. January 29th, authorities announced that 474 were arrested in a statewide California human trafficking operation, and 28 sexually exploited children were rescued. 178 people were arrested in Texas for sex trafficking in a sting that operated in January until Super Bowl Sunday. And on February 14th, the Polk County Sheriff announced that 42 were arrested in Florida in a child pornography-related case. Now, on that Dr. Phil show where he just had that woman on there the other day talking about how she'd been sex trafficked her whole entire life, she said she's been to every Super Bowl. He said Super Bowl, she's been to the Olympics. She said these big events is where the high rollers come, and they looking for all different types of entertainment, okay? And so this disgusting stuff is one of them. So I want to get into that as more information develops. We're going to get back to that. All right, guys? So is there anybody else who wants to come in? 619-924-0779. Press 1. Caller from 352. I heard you got disconnected. Are you back with us now?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm having battery issues.
Oh, I'm sorry. You got it? You cool now?
Yep. I'm good. I'm straight. Well, regarding your pedophile issue, like, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, I guess I've heard that, like, criminals find it easier to traffic people than drugs. So, I don't know. I guess because, they can disassociate themselves from the person or whatever. But, it's just like any other business. You got supply and demand. So clearly there's some kind of demand for it, and, it's just going wild. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, also, kind of reflecting on some of the things that I was talking about before, every year, all there is desire, right? Desire creates motion. If you didn't want anything, you wouldn't move, right? So
right.
Desire is the moving force. So we have these desires for food, we have these desires for, family, and that's how we operate, based off of our desires. And everyone is like a combination of good desires and bad ones. That's the light and the darkness, right? Part of our reason for being here is to correct those desires. Now, here's the thing. That desire increases every year. It's the same reason why someone buys 2 houses and then they want 3, and then they want 6, and then they want a plane. They keep wanting more, right? It never stops. So what happens is, as these desires increase, they mutate. And if you're not the most positive person in the world, then your negative actions are going to be inflamed. So,
yeah. Oh, okay. We lost connection there. That's all right. Caller from 917, your hand is raised.
Hello?
Yeah. Right.
Am I back? Hi, Kiki. It's an honor again. I just wanted to give a retort to the last caller. I think from his previous call, where he says that Jews should help blacks. Was that the comment he made?
No, I don't remember him saying that. Well, what were you thinking? I can bring him.
I think he was kind of saying because of the similar history of slavery, and what I was going to say is that I think the Jewish people think they are helping blacks because they predominantly vote Democrat, and this is the fight I have within my own family. I told you I'm biracial. My mom's white and Jewish. My dad's black and Christian. That she believes voting Democrat is helping blacks, and it's just a false narrative. When her family immigrated here from Europe, there was a saying my grandfather told me back in the day: the Jews earned like Episcopalians and voted like Puerto Ricans. People in those times didn't understand why they voted Democrat, since the Democratic Party was against them coming here in the first place. And the ones who vote Democrat now, which is 90% of the Jewish people, they actually think their vote is helping the blacks. And again, we should be helping ourselves. We shouldn't be relying on anybody to help us. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, let me add him to the line and let him answer, if that's okay. Caller from 352, you guys are both on the line together. Okay, so can you respond to what she was saying? I don't know if you heard the whole thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a common thread between the Jewish people and the black people. You know what I mean? It's like they're like, I don't know, it's like a distant cousin type of thing. It has a lot to do with Noah, Ham, and his kids. But to answer, I guess to elaborate more on what this, my other caller here said is basically, okay, voting. I mean, that's a part of it, but God wants us to take action. He wants us to be on the front line of these issues. It's like you can help from a distance, or you can be more hands-on. And God has a higher standard for Jews. Because it's like they know the law. They know better. It's almost like a kid that knows your rules and then breaks them versus a kid who doesn't know your rules and breaks them. So when the Jews mess up, they get 10 times the punishment. See what I'm saying? So, yes, that's a start, voting for the right party. But he wants them to kind of be more gung-ho about their efforts to help, humanity in general, but definitely the most suffering, the people who are suffering the most in humanity.
But I don't think we should be relying on anyone to help us. I think it's just like the Jewish people sort of helped themselves in history, with the exception of World War II. I don't think the black community should be relying on anyone to help them. And the fact that the overwhelming amount of Jews are voting Democrat actually doesn't help us at all. That has never been the party. The party that's been pro-slavery, right, pro-Jim Crow.
Right.
My father grew up in the Jim Crow South, so that was all Democrats stopping him from going to a white school, stopping him and his father from voting, not the Republicans. So the fact that Jews actually vote Democrat thinking that it's helping is not helping.
Well, I mean, anything involved with the government is not helping, because the whole point is the reason why God took the Jews out of Egypt, because he wanted the Jewish people to rely on him and not the government. See, the government is trying to become God. That's why they give you all this stuff, because, that they want the government to become our God, and that's what Pharaoh was. So God removed, he got Moses to get the Jewish people out of there, because God wants us to be slaves to him and not to the slave system. You see what I'm saying? And are you familiar with the parable of the Good Samaritan? Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay. Well, basically, there is a passage somewhere in Jerusalem, Israel, right? And the parable is this: there is this dangerous road where a lot of people got robbed on this road, right? And sometimes people would pretend like they were hurt, and what they would do is when someone would come to help them, that person would ambush them and rob them, right? So this Samaritan was on the same path, and he was walking with one of his teachers. And he said, what does this parable mean? And basically what he said was this. Oh, shoot, hold on a second. I got to plug my phone in.
Okay.
Well, okay. Just bear with me. This is what he said. Okay, so you had the Good Samaritan, and they were like, he was walking down the road, and he saw an injured person, right? And he was just like, I don't know if I should stop because this injured person might rob me, right? And the teacher reversed the question, like Martin Luther King said. if I don't stop and help this person, the question is not what's going to happen to me. If I don't stop and help this person, what's going to happen to them? So it's a matter of flipping. It's a matter of the root of all evil is not money. The root of all evil is not money. The root of all evil is self-concern. What about me?
Okay, but you had said in the last phone call that Jews are supposed to light into the nation, all that, lead by example. I think they did lead by example by not aligning with the party, the Nazi party that oppressed them and put them through genocide. However, the black community aligns with the Democratic Party that did all these horrible things to them. So there's only so much you can do to a community that's been brainwashed and their vote is permanently Democrat, and you have these pimps in the pulpit like Al Sharpton who you know, it kind of leads them into the darkness. There's only so much you can do when a community is already brainwashed, which that's the black community. You want to lead by example, don't vote for the parties that oppressed your ancestors. The Jews would never vote for the new Nazi party, but the blacks vote for the Democratic Party. That is the party that is literally the root of all the evil in this country, not only with the blacks, but with the Native American and women's suffrage.
Do you think that black people are aware of that?
Yeah,
that are voting?
No, because they've been. I don't. I think they've been brainwashed. I mean, I see it within my own family. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me dissect this real quick. Okay, no, the current black situation is they're not as conscious as the Jews were. Jews are famous for being wise, so they're smart. You know, they're wise. That's how they trick the serpent, right?
I know, but my theory is that in biblical times, God saw a problem with a generation that were not going to lead the Jews into to that higher level, and He allowed them to die off in the desert in those 40 years. I don't think the black community has that since slavery. For some reason, this generation of the thugs, hood rats, Black Lives Matter, they're not dying off. They're still here. So the Ben Carsons of the world can't.
Oh no.
You know?
Oh well, don't forget their asses is in jail, and we have a whole generation. I mean, in Los Angeles,
but they're still breeding.
Okay, let me elaborate.
But there is that dormant time that you're talking about, because the creativity though and the inventions and the influence we see is not what it used to be.
In the black community, you mean? With the
right.
Mhm.
Now, let me elaborate on that. So basically, how you just said, the Jews would never align themselves with the Nazi Party.
Never.
If you go back to Exodus, the Jews that originally left Egypt, they wanted to go back to Egypt because they were like, screw the desert.
That's
I hate
my
the desert.
point. That's the generation God wanted to die off. That's my point. That's the generation that God said, you're not ready. You're not ready for Israel. You're not ready for freedom. This generation needs to die. And that's what I'm saying, that the black community never had that. There is a generation that needed to die that has never died. And they're still amongst us. And they're the ones keeping us down. So
who are you trying to kill off? Are you trying to kill off people born in the 70s?
You know what I mean? I'm not saying literally. I mean the mindset. I'm sorry. I don't mean literally. I mean figuratively.
Well,
I mean the mindset, Kiki.
Let me say this. I think that you guys are both right, but y'all are talking. You see, this is why I say once you start trying to go back and validate and substantiate arguments for what happened 2,000 years ago, he can be basing it off of ancient text. You could be going off of different, even word of mouth accounts or whatever case it is. But the point is that none of us were there. So if we just look at where we are right now or what has happened in recent history. What's happened in recent history to both communities, what the Jewish argument does not reconcile for is how many Jewish people that have extensive amounts of wealth and seem to be on the side with the evildoers, whereas we don't have any black people that got billions and billions. I mean, Oprah or something? It's people way wealthier than her. And all those people that are wealthier than Oprah's ass is either Jewish or white, right? So when we talk about white people, black people, really what they won't admit to, and this is why I always go back to that to the census, because what they won't admit to is that race equals class here. And here, when they tell you to pick your race, regardless to whether you're Jewish or your ass is from wherever in Europe, you still checking the white box. You either white, Hispanic white, Black, Asian, Hispanic, non-Black, and then they got two little subcategories for Indians and Native Americans and Pacific Islanders. Okay,
right.
But this is class here, and so since we don't have Black people in the white class, and if we look in the census, every category that has to do with wealth or anything positive, property, education, white people is number one. And if we look at the bad stuff, then that's where you find Black people at the top of the list, or Hispanics that are non-white. So in this particular country, race here is class. And so how much then do we expect Jewish people who are of an upper class to even really be involved in what the lower class is doing at all, if it's not for the point of making money off of them?
I think a part of it is that they were able to not align with the party that oppressed them. Like, I feel like the Black problem is we align with the Democrats, and I told you, it's like we suffer from Stockholm syndrome. We're aligning with our oppressors.
Okay, well, watch this.
Why?
Let me ask you this, because I see where you're coming from. Let me ask you this. Do you feel that Katy Perry is impacted the same way by the Democratic Party as Trayvon is? Do you feel like the Democratic Party impacts them the same way?
Trayvon? Who's that?
Well, just some random Black dude. Insert Black dude name. Hell.
Well, they've always had the glitz and the razzle dazzle is what I would say. That we were talking about earlier, how we can't get that sort of those enthusiastic entertainers to align with the conservatives. They're all leftist. So that doesn't surprise me that the Katy Perrys of the world are leftist. She wouldn't be rich and famous if she was a conservative. Her career would cease to. And she's a very religious Christian. She's a very religious Christian who's always half naked on stage.
And yet she can afford to still vote and support for Democrats and not end up broke and homeless. So that's my point. My point is effectively you can afford to vote for whoever.
The Democratic Party has not changed since the days of slavery, but Black people vote for them like they're their saviors. And look at South Side of Chicago. Look at Baltimore. Look at Ferguson. Those are all Democrat-governed communities. This is what the Jews don't understand. The Jews are like, wait a minute. These are the people that kept you as slaves and brought Jim Crow on you, and you're voting for them, and your communities are in disarray?
Right. Like I totally get it. Like, I've said this to everyone. I said, look at your condition, look at your community, look at your situation, and look at your leaders. You can look at your community and look at your leaders. There's a parallel between those two people, but they're not bright enough to get it. Now, what the Democrats did in the beginning, I mean, they did a switch. Now, they switched their policy, but they didn't switch their heart. These Democrats were still, Lyndon Johnson, he was still a seething racist, but the pressure from the civil rights movement, it was more of a political move because he was a politician more than he was a racist. His political agenda was more important than his racist heart. That was the only thing that made him switch. So he said, look, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put myself in charge of you, and I'm going to keep you down while pretending to be your friend, just like we did on the plantation. It's just a different model. Now retracting back to what you said about, as far as like as far as the Jews and everything else, like basically what happened was God said, look, I'm going to bring you to the promised land. I'm going to set you free, right? And when they were in the desert, they lost confidence. They lost faith, right? And they were like, the two spies went out, and they brought back two different reports. The older generation brought back a negative report to Moses. He was just like, look, there's milk and honey out there, but there's giants, and they're going to kill us. So we can't go. And God's sitting there looking like, I'm God. I can do anything, and you're doubting me. So all right. I'm going to let you wander for another 40 years till all you guys die, and the new generation that comes after you that wasn't traumatized by slavery is going to be the one that inherits the promised land.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, we gotta wrap it up. I appreciate you. We have time now. We gotta wrap it up. Do you want 60 seconds? Do you have any more You want to respond to that real quick, Ida?
I just want to say, oh God, I disagree with this caller. What he was kind of just blaming Jewish people for not allowing the black people.
No, I wasn't blaming. I don't blame anybody. I look at things from both sides. I'm not blaming any side. All I'm saying is we are all responsible for each other. Jewish are more like shepherds. They're supposed to guide the flock to the Creator. And if you're not a shepherd, then your sheep are going to be running all over the place. So
I know, but our people are sheep. That's what the point you're missing is that a smart community would leave their oppressors forever. And we are not a smart community because we vote for the same nonsense, and we have these people in our churches, the pimps of the pulpit, and we vote for them over and over again. And we wonder why south side of Chicago is 1,000 murders a year.
There's enough black people that are responsible for. There's enough black people that are responsible for turning on black people anyway. Before we even need to look outside of our own community, obviously we're not all on the same accord. And you have black people who are in a position to make it better for the black community, and they do not do that. But somehow they're able to still point the finger at the next person, and it's everybody else's fault when they won't even do what's within their own power, and we will not hold them accountable to do what they said they were going to do for us, since we all know what the situation is. All right, so I appreciate you guys. I know we talk all night. I'll be back on Tuesday, same bat station, same bat time. I promise.
Thank you, Kiki.
All right. Thank you for a good discussion. Thank you so much. And shout out to all of y'all still listening too, all right? And it didn't even cost you nothing. You know why? Because talk is cheap with Kiki Green. Till next time. Peace out.